Hey guys, this is Chida G. Welcome to my playthrough of Star Wars The Old Republic, The Jedi Knight. And hopefully I will be playing mainly just through the main storyline. I may include some other stuff that can be done along the way, but I guess that kind of depends on how many views and what people, want to see. So, first thing, there are a few things I want to say, just starting out. One, use your buffs. And I guess I should explain this. I've been playing this game for a while now, off and on, and I'm amazed how many people I see. Well, I'm gonna. First of all, let's. Hold on here. There we go. Turn chat off so I don't get distracted. Okay. I'm amazed how many people I see not using their buffs in this game. And by buffs, I mean one of your abilities that you start out with. And generally, when you first start out on any character, of course I'm playing the Jedi Knight right now, but it's going to be right here on your action bar. The Jedi Knight, it's called Force Might, as you can see above the minimap. And each character has a different ability, but basically you just click it and it lasts for I think, for an hour. And as you can see, when you have your buff on, it will appear up here. And there are so many people I've seen in the game who use their buffs on other players, but they forget to use it on themselves. And I just want to tell people, you can use it on yourself. Do not forget to use it. That people who forget it, that is a source of great annoyance for me. It probably shouldn't annoy me that much, but yeah, use your buffs, people. Please. They are very helpful in the game. The more you play, the more helpful they become, because the more characters you get to high levels, the more characters you have on a single server that are on higher levels, once you get, I believe once you get a certain character to chapter 3 in the storyline, I believe, then their buff will apply to all the characters you have on that server. And once you start layering them on top of each other, they can be really helpful. So yeah. Big pet peeve of mine, use your buffs, people. Okay, first off, I may, another thing, since I'm playing the Jedi Knight here, I have, various characters have different versions of this, but, you also have this, I guess it's kind of a buff in the Jedi Knight. It's called lightsaber forms, and these also give you certain benefits, and which form you end up using is going to depend on which skill tree you decide to use, but I'll probably get into that later. Anyway, this is a type of ability that is continuous, and I'll just shut it off here so you can see the little line here at the bottom of the picture, like this little light, tells you whether it's on or off. As you can see, it's off right now, and you turn it on, and it gives you certain benefits. This one, the Shi-Cho form, all Jedi start out with this one. It's the only one you have in the beginning. So until you get to a higher level, just use this. It increases the amount of damage you can do, and it reduces the amount of damage you take. So until you decide what skill tree you're going to use, the skill trees don't come in until level 10, by the way. I'll talk about that later, but until you figure out what skill tree you're going to use, the Shi-Cho form is going to be the form that you use up until then. So yeah, make sure you have that turned on. Next to it, you also see you have sprint. If you want to get anywhere in this game, you need to turn your sprint on, because if you don't have it turned on, you're going to be going very, very slowly. So make sure you use it. This guy, okay, see, this guy is using his buff. Thank you, dude. Where did he go? Oh. You can also use your, I guess I kind of glossed over that, but you can use your buff on other people just by targeting them and pressing it. But you can only use people who are excuse me. You can only use it on people who are part of your faction. Anyway, that's not really important. Also, okay. So moving on. Anybody you see with this symbol above their heads, that is a mission. That means you can get a mission from this person. And I guess just to show you, I'll go ahead and click into this.
Padawan, come here, quickly. The training grounds are not safe today.
Knight Weller sent me to help with the Flesh Raiders. I'm combat trained and ready to help.
And the Force is with us. Few Padawans here can make that claim. The Flesh Raiders moved into the training grounds, organized and ready, attempting to isolate various groups of Padawans. There's a group of students in the hills we lost track of. They're not combat trained.
Don't worry. Those Padawans will get home safe. I promise.
I've got a beacon here. If you can find the Padawans and set
I will
the
try
beacon,
not
we'll
to
send an
speak
evac shuttle as
during
fast as we can.
cutscenes.
A group of Jedi from the temple is headed this way, but maybe not fast enough.
You can
May the Force
get
be with you.
important information through cutscenes, but as you can see there, as you can see during cutscenes, you will get several different. It's like this is, you know, it's like most RPGs. You get different options as to how to respond during cutscenes, and most of the time it doesn't really matter how you respond unless it's a light side, dark side decision, but that won't come into play until for a little bit yet. And I'll talk about that when we get to it. Anyway, so let's go. Your current missions, that guy didn't even, okay. Your current missions are going to show up here at the top right of the screen. As you could probably see before, chat is up at the top left. Here it tells you how many people are in your location. It goes by what planet you're on, and right here you can see how mail that you might have, and you can find mailboxes in various places in the game. Anyway, combat is pretty self-explanatory. It's like any RPG. You target your enemy and then you use your different actions at the bottom of the screen. Okay, that's weird. There are, you will notice a lot of glitches in this game. Unfortunately, that's kind of, it's fairly common for MMOs. Another thing, I may or may not show you how to get different codex entries for this. Probably I'll do those just for this first planet since it's not that long. I will tell you there is a, yeah. If you're going for all the codex entries, make sure you come over here and get the codex entry for the Yuxi Beast. Okay, moving on. So basically, as you can see in my quest now, you can probably tell you get basically two kinds of missions. There are main storyline missions, which you need to complete in order to advance the storyline for your character. There are also planet storyline missions, which have to do with whatever planet you happen to be on. You do not have to complete those to move forward with the story. However, I would suggest that you do them, because if you skip them, you may have a hard time leveling up. If you complete all the missions you come across, then on a specific planet, then by the time you finish them all, you should be at just about the right level to continue on to the next planet. Like, for example, by the time you complete Tython, and here's another mission here, by the time you complete Tython, you should be at least level 10. If you do all of the quests that you come across on Tython, you should be at level 10 or 11 at the time you're ready to leave. You should not have any trouble gaining levels, getting to the right level. As you can see in the right hand corner, or rather at the top right corner, my storyline quest, which is always going to be the first quest on the list. All I need to do is kill 10 of these flesh raiders and I'm already almost done with it. So these guys are not hard. Of course, this is the first planet, so enemies are not going to be too difficult yet. As you can also see, there are bonus missions that will pop up at certain times. I would suggest that you try to complete them as much as possible. They're good for extra experience if you need it. Anyway, okay, so as you can see, we have a call on our holocommunicator. Let's see what it is.
You're unharmed. Good. Flesh Raider shot me in the leg while I was rescuing some Padawans. Don't know where these things got blasters, but I know how to use them. I've been evacuated to a med center, but the fighting isn't over.
I'll push back the enemy, whatever it takes.
We need to stop them at the source. Another Padawan found a cave tunnel the Flesh Raiders used to enter this valley. I need you at that tunnel, making sure the Flesh Raiders don't get any more reinforcements through it.
I'll find this cave tunnel and seal it.
We need to end this conflict before anyone else gets hurt. Find the tunnel along the mountain range. May the Force be with you.
I haven't really decided how I'm going to play this particular character yet. Like whether I'm going to go as like a stereotypical Jedi or maybe change it up a little bit. I guess we'll see as we go along. Just what I feel like doing. So as you can probably tell, things are not all well on Typhon. Something weird is going on here. These flesh raiders are very primitive people, they should not know how to use blasters. The fact that they're using blasters suggests that something weird's going on here, and we've got to figure out what. You can, well, you can get to your large map by double-clicking on the mini-map or just by pressing M. I use the M just because it's easier, and you can see different places where you need to go to finish your quests are going to be marked on your map. If you see an arrow like that, it means that you just have to go through, there's a door or another location. If you've played other RPGs or MMORPGs, this should be pretty familiar to you, and you really shouldn't have any trouble with it. So, let's see here. I may speed through these other quests, I'm not sure yet. And as you can see, you just gained a level. Levels 1 through 10 shouldn't be any problem getting. You may have some issues later on in the game, but there are ways to make it easier to level up. I'll probably talk about that when we get to it. So, no need to talk about that right now. One thing I do kind of enjoy exploring, especially on the first planet, you know, this is, you know, it's one of the things that's really enjoyable about MMOs is that there's these large areas that you get to explore. And, you know, you don't feel like you need to explore everything, you know, right away, because you may have to be in an area 2 or 3 times before you find everything. One thing is there are going to be these lore objects here, and they'll be, as you can see, they'll be kind of glowing blue, and basically you just right-click on them, you'll examine them, and then you'll get a codex entry. And you can get to your codex by getting into the mission log, like this, either by that, like by this thing up here, or by pressing L, and then you get to your codex by clicking the codex tab. And as you can see, it just has, you know, sort of lore and information about different locations and planets and whatnot. If you're going for the full codex, I find really helpful is to go to the planets tab, and then as you can see, it'll show you how many codex entries you can find on a specific planet. And then if you click the magnifying glass here, it'll show you what sort of entries you should be looking for, and how far along you are, how many you have found. And if you're trying to complete your codex, this can be really useful to figure out, you know, what you need to be looking for and whatnot. Although, I have to tell you, there are a few bugs with it. Sometimes it takes a while for things to load up. Sometimes things don't show up. Be patient with it. You know, don't, you know, rage quit or anything about it. That's, I guess, one of the main trouble with MMOs is that there tend to be a lot of glitches and bugs. I guess I really don't need to say much about that, you know. Anybody who's played video games before is well aware of the bugs that can happen. Some of them are funny, some of them are just really annoying. Occasionally they'll be useful, although those are pretty few and far between. Anyway, moving on. Anything that has an action that you can do with it is probably going to be glowing blue, whether it's a lore item, a request object, or, you know, if there's an action you can do with it, it'll be glowing blue. It's pretty easy to find them, although sometimes the object you're looking for will be really small and it'll be a little bit more difficult to find it, but you know, be aware of your surroundings, look around, you know, and you should be fine. Okay. So basically I was told to go to this cave. Because the Flesh Raiders appear to be coming out of it, so I'm gonna go head on over there. I'll worry about these other quests later. Again, you really don't have to be worried about these Flesh Raiders too much. They're fairly easy to defeat. One thing you need to be aware of is that on the beginning planets, I think probably on just like the first 2 planets, actually another thing I need to mention, every character has some kind of ability, and it will be in this square on the action bar, and if you use this, it takes 15 seconds. If you move, you'll cancel out of it, but it lasts for 15 seconds. If you move or are attacked, it'll cancel out of it, but basically you do this and it will heal. You know, if your bar gets full before you're finished with it, you can go ahead and exit out of it. But yeah, it can be really helpful if you have a break between battles and you're a little worried, you can just heal up. Okay, and now here's our first instance, and anytime you see a green barrier, that is a special instance. You can, if you're in a group, you can bring other people into the instance with you, but as you can see, it's a separate phase of the game, and this one is specific to the Jedi Knight. And when you see a phase that says it's specific to a certain character, that is a storyline phase. So let's go on in here and see what's going on. See, there are more Flesh Raiders. Nothing too bad. As you can see, whenever there's a light beam like that, it means they have an item you can pick up. Just right click on them. There are different settings that you can put that on. You just check, you go to the game menu and check preferences, and you can you know, fiddle around with it and see what works for you. I usually use the single right click and area loot. Just to save time, you know. There's like I said, there are different settings. Fiddle around with it, see what works for you. And speaking of settings, you can also do different things to change your HUD if you want to. Like I said, you go to again, you go into game menu and you go to the interface editor, and you can just mess around with it. As you can see, there are a lot of different things that you can change with it. This game I really like because there are so many different things. It's very detailed, what you can do with it. I'm not going to mess with it right now. Again, you play around with it, see what works for you. Obviously, anybody who's played video games before, you know, that shouldn't be anything new. This game does have one of the better how do I put it? Whoa. Okay, I do sometimes have trouble with the camera. The camera, it takes a little getting used to. It can be kind of touchy. Usually it's not too much of a problem. Anyway, what I was saying, you can get extremely detailed with your HUD. That's one thing this game is really good about. You know, you can change it in a lot of ways. Like I said, just fiddle around with it, see what works for you. I probably won't be changing much from the default, which is what I have going now. I probably later on will switch up to make 2 action bars here. That's just my personal preference. I'm sure other people would tell you something different. Like I've said about 5 times already, see what works for you. I'm sure the way I do it probably wouldn't work for a lot of people, but that's just me. Anyway, so continue in here. And kill all these flesh raiders. I like to clear out the instances, whether there's a bonus or not, just because it's good experience. You probably won't need your channeled ability on the Jedi. It's called introspection. You probably won't need that much at first, but it becomes a lot more helpful later on. Anyway. Okay. And again, just clear out the instance, just because it's good experience. If you're not a paying customer, you want to try to get as much experience as you can on this first planet. Because after... Well, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter, but after level 10, you start getting less experience. For me, it's never really been that much of a problem. I'm sure other people would find it annoying, but there are ways to get around it. Which I may talk about later. Okay. As you can see, there's something going on up there, and once we get close, we're going to trigger a cutscene, so let's see.
Stop struggling, Padawan. Your life was over the moment you set foot here. Because the Order must evolve, and you are weak.
Again, I'm going to try not to talk during the cutscenes, of which in this game there are a crap ton.
Whoever you are, step away from that Padawan.
You are... dangerous. You killed my soldiers. Not attacking, cleansing. And we have only begun.
Well, this is
Lay down your weapons.
bad.
I don't want to hurt you.
The old order is dead. Long live the new order.
Okay, first serious fight of the game. Shouldn't give you much trouble. He's fairly simple. As you can see, he's got a silver badge next to his name. That means he's a little more difficult to fight than normal enemies. There are several levels of that, you'll see. Pretty straightforward, easy to figure out.
You two all right? What happened?
Master Orgus! I love him.
Thank the Force that you're both safe. This man's no Jedi. At least not one of us.
If he wasn't like us, what was he?
I'd call him Sith. But the Empire doesn't know where Tython is. This lightsaber, there's something familiar about it. Strange. You held off all these attackers by yourself with only a practice saber. Impressive.
I followed my instincts, that's all.
They served you well. This battle's over, but we don't want any more flesh raiders coming through here.
Master Orgus.
That should hold them back for now.
I want to learn how to do that.
I'll spend a few decades practicing, and you'll pick it up in no time. Not yet. I'll get you to a med center. You seem all right to travel alone. Report to the Jedi Council.
This valley isn't safe yet. I don't feel good about leaving.
We have Jedi Knights rooting out the last attackers. You're needed elsewhere. Follow the path leading out of this valley. You'll find the Jedi Temple through the mountain pass. See you there.
I gotta say, Master Orgus is probably one of my favorite characters. Anyway, so our next mission is to go to the Jedi Temple. Obviously, something mysterious and potentially disastrous is happening here. And we've got to figure out what's going on. But I'm going to save that for later. So anyway, hope you enjoy this playthrough, and I'll see you next time.